Welcome to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida's new and exciting weekly radio show. A show focused on businesses in Bay and surrounding counties. Business Between the Lines is hosted by Christy Kirkland, a business accelerator with Answer Marketing, and co-hosted by Jason Price, a video guru with Riplify Media.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, Christy.
And welcome back, everyone, to ESPN Northwest Florida's newest radio show, Business Between the Lines. I am your hostess, Christy Kirkland, with Answer Marketing, a business acceleration here in Bay County. I manage a lot of pro groups. Some of them are the A-Team Power Connectors, the SMART Team, which is a continuing educational training group for entrepreneurs that are just looking for all the right answers, the Leaders Group, which is a support group for pro women, and the Loyal to Local group that is responsible for the cash mobs and more. I am thankful, as always, to be here sharing time and business banter with Jason Price.
Hey guys, my name is Jason. I'm the owner of Riplify Media, which is a video production company based out of Bay County, Florida. And what we do is we help businesses to be known and understood through the power of video. So we make video content that is trust building, like testimonials, commercials, video business cards is a big one, and I absolutely love what I get to do. So on this show, it's our hope that with our combined experiences and that of our guests, that we'll be able to add immense value to all of our listeners, here at the show, Business Between the Lines, and for all of the community that gets to listen to us.
It will be packed with weekly value in the form of tips to help you on your journey, continuing educational tidbits, community spotlight with either a local business professional or small business, and we have had some pretty amazing ones today, and whatever else we can squeeze in.
Exactly. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with our guest for today, Logan Price. He's my brother, and he'll be sharing with us some insight into overcoming fear and taking action in spite of it. So stay tuned. You do not want to miss it. We will be right back.
See you soon. Hey, Jason.
Hey, Christy.
Hey, Logan.
Hey.
And welcome back, everyone, to Northwest Florida's newest radio show, Business Between the Lines. We are joined today with Logan Price in our green screen studio, and he is going to be sharing just some of his background, some of his insights, some of the stories that has happened with him that I think a lot of y'all can relate to. But it all wraps around the insight of overcoming fear and taking steps regardless of that. And you've had quite a few of them lately where you jumped out there. So tell us about it.
I don't know. I think I came to a point in my life where I just realized the only way to do something is just to do it. And I was just on a podcast a couple weeks ago explaining, somebody asked how I started a YouTube channel because they knew I used to be super afraid and nervous to speak and stuff. And I kind of just explained it like this, no matter what it is, whether it's going to start a business or start a YouTube channel, which the YouTube for me was the scariest because I'm what if my friends see it and I didn't, I don't have any likes on my videos or I don't have any views and they laugh at me. And I just realized everyone that has a YouTube channel that's what I wanted, they all had to go through the same thing. Oh, yeah. And I'm just whether it's you're starting a YouTube channel or you're starting a business or whatever, you have to just to be okay with going through the ugly. And that everybody that does anything for the first time, it almost always looks bad the first time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're lucky and you just look good. I'm not lucky. So I was just willing to go through the ugly part and then, figure out my way as I go.
Right. Just jump out there. I know Jason and I were talking about that just a little bit ago, that some of these big people that are Hollywood kind of style people that are making it and they have this massive following, or they have they do an event and they have 30,000 people that show up. They all started like that, and some of the biggest ones have told their stories about,
sleeping on the streets.
I wanted to do this and I put it out there and I spent all this money and I had my mom show up and my next door neighbor.
Yeah.
And I still kept pushing forward, and now, 30,000 followers later, are showing up at an event, thousands and millions of followers. But yeah, you got to step out there. You got to not overthink it. You just got to take that action. But that was one of the things that also impressed me when we invited you to come speak at our A-Team group. And Jason and I, everybody was talking about, who should we have, what kind of speakers, and he was like, hey, my brother's got this great story, and we should have him come and speak. And I was like, yeah, line it up, and never knowing that you were like deathly afraid of getting in front of people.
You go up and step on stage to talk about overcoming fear, and your greatest fear is
getting up on stage.
And I love too, one thing that you did that was really cool as part of your speech is he had this point in his talk where he was inviting somebody up on stage and walking them through this exercise, and he goes and just picks randomly somebody. He doesn't ask for raising hands, he just picks somebody, and it turns out that the person he picked was somebody who was deathly afraid of speaking from stage, and that was her first time. And the following week, I think, was her time to speak.
To actually speak.
For her first time talking about her business and stuff. So it's really cool how it all, worked out.
Comes out, yeah. But, okay, I'm going to ask this. I have to know. You have to tell the story because our listeners have not heard it. But, again, it comes back to, we can stand up here and say, taking action. You're afraid of something, just do it. It's easy for some of us to say it, but you have a lot of stories in your background about, not overthinking the process and not bogging yourself down to where you turn around and you run off. But you got a beach story.
Yeah, so I'm in the process of writing my first book, and the opening in the book is this story where I was walking down the beach and I see this girl that I liked, didn't know who she was, and I'm on the beach like completely alone. And I didn't want to go up and just talk to her because I suck at talking to girls, and I knew that I would get nervous, and I'm like, what if I choke up? What if I blah, blah, blah? The stuff that normally would have time to come through my head. Before any of that came in my head, I just saw football on the ground. So I picked up the football and I threw it at the girl as hard as I can. And knowing that if I did that, I would have to go up and apologize and talk to her. So I walked up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to throw that football. Can I get you like lunch or a drink or something? I know looking back, I'm like, that was so savage. But I go up to her and then long story short, we talk on the beach for a while. She goes and like eats dinner with her family and comes back to the beach, and we started talking like really late at night and then ended up dating for 2 years. And we're not together anymore. But like the moral of the story is I didn't let fear come into my head and make that whole, what if you stutter? What if you, your voice gets choked up or whatever? I just threw the football and then figured it out as I went. Like, you got to like take that step immediately, because the second the voices come in your head, that's all you hear or see is just those voices.
Yeah, I love that. Just about all the stories that I've ever heard you tell about overcoming fear, you've always taken an action that has taken it out of your control, that you didn't have a choice. Yeah. And so it was like, okay, I really want to be a speaker eventually. And your brother, knowing that was taken out of your control, it's like, okay, guess what? You're signed up. You're going to be a speaker. And with the football and the girl, it's like, okay, you could have sat there and just overthought the whole process and turned around and ran off. But instead, you took an action that basically made it to where you had to. And that's something that we can all take away from that. If you're afraid to do something, but you really want to do it, find an action. Don't throw footballs at people on the beach, but
unless you want to be really, really savage. Something I think you're really good at, and you did it for A-Team, and you did it for whenever I invited you to be a part of the show, is just instantly saying yes if you know that it's good for you, and living like regardless, figuring it out later, not being concerned with, well, I don't know, I haven't really done research on how to speak on a radio show, so let me go ahead and take a few months to do some research, and then maybe I'll think about it. You're just like instant yes. And I'll figure it out along the way.
The first thing that comes in my head is if I go and do this show, I'll learn something, and then when I can do the next one, I'll be better than whoever did it the first time. So if I can learn something on this show, the next time I come back here or someone else's show,
you're only going to get better.
Yeah, exactly. Everything is a learning process, and you just have to be willing to put yourself in these situations and be willing to look like I was completely fully accepting that whenever I went up on that stage that I might throw up. Like, that was a real fear going through my head. Like, I was looking at the door and I'm like, okay, if my heart beats really fast, I might have to run and throw up.
Is that why you asked where the bathroom was?
Yeah, I pre-planned it, but I just put myself in this situation. I'm like, if I do throw up, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. I mean, it's going to be really embarrassing.
And I think that's a lot of times people think there's going to be so much bigger of an impact than really is what's going to happen. And it's like, just do it. I mean, unless you're like doing train jumping or skydiving or any of those crazy things, there's really not getting up in front
most
of
of the
people.
time, the worst case scenario.
Yeah, it's not
not
gonna.
that bad.
Yeah, you're not gonna lose a leg by speaking in front of an audience or any
It might shake
dramatic.
a lot.
It might shake a lot.
I was holding onto the podium and my legs were shaking so bad. And you can even see it in the video. Like, I reposted a clip on my YouTube channel, and like you can actually see my legs visibly shaking. And I'm like, figure it out, dude.
So what's next? What is that next fear challenge thing that you?
Skydiving. Skydiving is the next thing on the list. Public speaking was the biggest, and I conquered
Right.
that. Skydiving fell second. There's a bunch of things before that, but skydiving is the next thing on the list. And I was gonna go last year, but like a lot of things got messed up because I was going with somebody else, and their plans got canceled.
Right.
But I'm going this year, and I don't know when or how, but I'm super terrified.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Are you doing tandem first?
You have to tandem.
You
I
have
think
to
you have
now?
to. I think you have to tandem 3 times before you can jump out by
wow.
yourself.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So you really got to skydive 4 times to like fully
Great.
experience it.
I committed to 1 time jumping.
It's like I made my commitment. I'm
It's
gonna
like a
do that.
bucket
I'll
list
figure
thing.
that out later.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
a one and done.
No way.
That's amazing. That's something I've always. I mean, obviously, he's my brother, so we've known each other kind of a little while. But something that I've really learned from you is being able to know that you want to do something, and then just committing to it, and then figuring it out later, and not being afraid of messing it up, because messing it up most of the time. Is not
I'm
the
just
worst-case
willing to
scenario.
mess up. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I was listening to this event where so many big people were speaking, like Kevin Hart and all these big names, just talking about like the first time like Kevin Hart was on stage, he got like stuff thrown at him, and the event that he was at said you can't come back because people don't like you. So he went somewhere else and then brought his audience
He
there
talks
and was
about
like,
that in
hey,
his
Yeah.
book.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
were talking about that today.
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
About Kevin Hart?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we were.
he's
Yeah,
got-
That's
totally.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a book that's out, and he talks about that, and he actually reads his own on Audible. So I highly recommend getting it. It's a little racy and it's a little strong on the language on a couple of things, but the message
But
behind
it's
there is
worth it.
amazing. Yeah.
Dang.
Exactly. Logan, thank you so much for being a part of the show. If you guys want to see more about what he's about, go check him out, Logan Price on YouTube. Guys, thanks so much for listening to this segment, but don't go away. Just after this commercial break, Christy and I are going to be right back talking about maybe some of our fears that we've conquered or that we're hoping to conquer in the future. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will be right back.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, Christy.
And everyone, welcome back to ESPN Northwest Florida's newest radio station, Business Between the Lines. We just got through with, again, another powerful segment.
Oh, yeah.
And this one was with your brother, my friend, my new friend,
Exactly.
Logan Price. And he shared some of his ways that he kind of overcame. And I'm not vouching for all of them. I'm just saying the concept behind those.
Taking action to overcome fear.
Yes. Instead of sitting there and thinking about stuff, because thinking is not going to overcome. It's going to make that fear worse when you sit there and think about it. That's why they talk to speakers and stuff like that. And they say, before you get up there to speak, to engage with other people. If you go behind the stage and you just think about your speech and what you're going to say, you're going to overthink it, and you're going to have all those butterflies start to happen.
Too inwardly focused. For
Right.
Sure.
You just got to take action instead of overthinking things. We can overthink
it.
a lot of things, but yeah, action is the only way, honestly, at least in my opinion, that I can think of that will help you overcome fear. And then repetitious action.
Yeah.
So doing it a few times. Now, I know a lot of people that are afraid of public speaking, and sometimes that's not something you will ever get over completely, but it does make it easier by repetition and stuff. I mean, a lot of people don't realize this. I get a little bit nervous when I get up in front, even though I love getting up in front and talking and sharing stuff and everything. And a long time ago, when I first felt those initial butterflies that used to happen, it made me mad.
They're like, no butterflies, go away.
And I was like, would you all just fly in formation? I was like, stop buzzing all
Fly in
over
formation.
the place. So just keep in formation. So now it just kind of, when I thought that, it kind of cracked me up. And now whenever I feel that, I'm like, formation, get in formation.
That's funny. I have a kind of a similar thing. Whenever I'm about to like speak in front of people, it's weird because growing up, I had a terrible, terrible fear of, speaking publicly, and I'll maybe share it in detail some other time. But now I'm not really terrified of it. But anytime, even just like doing 60 seconds in front of the A team or doing my presentation or something, or at any chamber event when I'm the person standing up, I have to do like this little like breathing exercise and kind of prepare myself. I love to do it, but I'm also still a little terrified of it. I have to remind myself, okay, if you mess up, no big deal. The world's not going to cave in just because you like flubbed, didn't know what to talk about. So I just breathe a little bit and I'm like, okay, I can do this.
That's what I love so much about our A team, because I mean, when you think about it, if you get down to the root of why people are afraid to do some of the things they are afraid to do, 9 times out of 10, it's because they're afraid of looking stupid, of messing up big, or saying something they shouldn't say, or forgetting everything that they were going to say and stuff. There's all these. Embarrassment is a real inside issue for a lot of people, and you just sometimes you just got to look at it and you be like, you know what? I might get up there like Logan said, and I might forget everything. I might throw up. Totally embarrass myself, but that's the worst that's going to happen, and it's something that I want to do. So I'm going to get up there. I'm going to persevere. I'm going to push through it, and let's see what happens.
Even like Logan said, he had a genuine fear that he was going to throw up on the stage. So he prepared himself. He wanted to know exactly where the daggone bathroom was.
That was so funny. I just put it together this session.
Oh,
and
really?
We've talked about that before. And I was like,
he told you that before,
He totally asked me, and I was like, okay, well, that's like a normal thing. But now it makes more sense.
So he knows exactly where
where he's going to go. Yeah, so pro tips for fear. If you are not daily conquering some type of fear, honestly, guys, you missed out on the secret of life, because just going through your paces and never challenging yourself, never feeling that, what if I mess up? What if I can't do this kind of a thing? And then on the flip side, like he said, when he did it, he was like, boom, yeah. And he was so excited. You're never going to feel that if you don't try some of these things. So that to me, honestly, is some of the essence of life, and what it's all about is to challenge yourself and try something. So, I mean, if once a day makes you really queasy to think about overcoming something, then, once a week or once a month, just try it. Just step out there.
And Logan mentioned, that he has a YouTube channel, and that's, another fear that he's, had to conquer to begin his YouTube channel. And one thing that I got to be a part of, that I'd love to be a part of, is that day when he spoke at the A team for the first time. Him and I vlogged the whole rest of the day. We went out to lunch afterward, and while we were in the car, I was holding his camera and just kind of asking him some questions about his first experience. And it was huge, because he got to just kind of give his feedback, and now it's special because he's got that video for the rest of his life, as his, like, one of his biggest fears he's ever had is public speaking, and now he has a record of that first experience. So, like, you document these things as you conquer a fear, like, write it down or make a video about it, or make some sort of record, so then like, that's one fear that I broke, that I was able to get past.
And that's something, honestly, and I know I'm fast tracking him a little bit because he still needs a girl and all that kind of stuff, but he is looking, guys. But if later on in life, when he has kids, he can let them watch that show and be like, I'm not just talking out the side of my face. I'm not just telling you, get out there and do something, try something. I'm going to show you I was doing this, and this is my experiences, and that would be priceless to have that. But honestly, guys, think about this. What would life be like if we had no courage to try anything new? If nobody tried anything new,
I wouldn't be sitting in the seat. Well, I wouldn't know you.
Okay, so here's my prime example of this.
Okay.
And this is something that I was thinking about
I'm
earlier.
excited. This wasn't on any prep list or anything.
So this is one of those things. Now, this will only work for those people that like oysters, because they're not going to get this analogy if I talk. But
well,
just
I'm a
think about
huge
it.
oyster lover, so this works for me.
So think
and
about
we're
this.
in the Panhandle, so
And we are in the Panhandle. You got to own it. So just think about this. What was going through the mind of the first person that cracked open an oyster and pulled that snot stuff out and
just
said,
went.
I mean, seriously, if they hadn't have done that, I mean, I think about my 3 cheese Cajun bait oyster, and it
man, God bless.
is that not divine?
Oh.
And if it wasn't for that first person, but then I have to think, seriously, what was going through his mind or her mind when she opened it up and did that first step. But they took that courage step. They're like, hey, this looks gross, but let's test it. I just don't know what would go through, because the first time I saw one, when I was moved down here, I'm from the north, I'm a Yankee, and they opened that up and they were trying out these.
God's name
I did not order it.
machine?
Somebody at my table ordered it, and it was one of those things I took a look at. I was like, you guys eat that? Who would eat that? And but again, it's that fear thing. Overcoming, you never know what experiences are going to come your way.
Well, whoever that first person was,
thank you.
That has improved our lives so much. Guys, on that note, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Business Between the Lines. Huge thank you to our sponsors that make all this happen. Guys, we invite you every single week, Sunday at 8 a.m. to watch our show, live on 104.3 or live on Facebook. And if you miss it, if you're not able to watch it, you can check us out on YouTube. You can check us out on all the podcast platforms, and then also again on a Facebook replay as well. If you're out there and you're listening to this episode and you're like, man, like Logan, I have something that I've overcome that I think would be of value, something that you already share with people, we'd love to have you as a guest. We'd love to have you sitting in right here and sharing your story. So if you'd like to be a guest on our show, then go over to our Facebook page, Business Between the Lines, and go ahead and send us a message. That's the best way to get in contact with us. And if you're listening in and you realize, hey, I need to sponsor this show, we'd love to have you message us as well. That's the perfect way to get in touch with us. Guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Huge thanks to Logan Price for being here. Christy, thank you for allowing me to be your co-host.
Jason, thank you for coming and hanging out with me. It is definitely one of those things that, guys, share out the show if you've gotten a value of it. We love to do this. It is seriously a source of joy for us to share these things, but keep sharing it, keep tuning in. We can't wait to have more guests on here and share more values, because the last ones we've had have been, wow,
phenomenal,
amazing.
As always, Sundays, 8 a.m., tune in, Business Between the Lines. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks for listening to Business Between the Lines. Join us every Sunday morning beginning at 8 on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.